I remember a time not too long ago when people cared about, the left cared about children in cages. Yet now they're calling Donald Trump demonic. He wants to stop these human smuggling by the cartels. Have you ever been down to the border, Destiny?
Three titans of your businesses coming together to talk about what is probably, I don't know, depending on your viewpoint, this is either the most depressing moment in modern American politics or something that is, I don't know, indicative of a wider malaise, you might argue, about the way the world is going.
Yeah, exactly. So even right there, this is precisely what I mean about that. This is so dense. There's a lot here, but because of the format,
another talking head,
you're not really able to dig into any one thing that anybody is saying. And so, yes, this idea that, well, okay, we've got Destiny, Benny Johnson, and Dave Smith on with Piers Morgan. That's not something you necessarily would have expected. And so that either means that things are going really well because we can all come together from different perspectives and still be able to have a conversation, or that these are the best we got. And, you know, as much as I love all three of them, Destiny is, as Candace Owens just called him out for being a 35-year-old college kid. Benny Johnson, you know, new on the scene. I like him, but he's a little bit antagonistic and melodramatic, if I may say. And as much as I love Dave Smith, I think he is so spot on with so many things. You know, he is just a stand-up comedian. And I think it says a lot that these are the type of people that are at the top of our game when it comes to talking politics.
Indicative of a wider malaise, you might argue, about the way the world is going, where celebrity triumphs substance, where age is no longer seen to be a problem. Who knows what we're talking about here, but you guys can thrash it out between you. I want to start by playing what... this is Bill Maher's show from Friday night.
Oh,
and he had
Lord.
Robert De Niro on. He said this about Trump.
Oh, my God. Have you guys seen this? Oh, my God. Get ready for the drama. Talk about melodrama.
He's such a mean, nasty, hateful person. I never play him as an actor. Because
I'd never play him as an actor. I just hope, just because he said that out loud, I hope that some studio exec is like, well, I mean, obviously they're going to make a movie either about Trump or with Trump in it at some point. And they go to Robert De Niro. You're the only one for the job.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
And they offer him some huge check. And he said, well, no, I said on Bill Maher that I would never do it. I have to stand strong in my values. These are the values that these people stick to. I will never play him as an actor.
Loser.
As much as I really dislike Piers for how he treated Uncle Alex Jones.
My frog turned on me.
I really like the way he handles himself nowadays. I agree. I think that, he's definitely had, I don't know if you want to say like a heel turn, but he definitely, once he was pushed out, I think he was on CNN, right? And once he was kind of pushed out of like the mainstream media, this is still, I'm pretty sure this is on legacy TV. Like you can go to a TV channel, but it's his own network, it's his own show, it's his own thing. And I think that frees people up a lot to be able to, say what they want to say, for better or for worse. Yeah. And he makes a great point. Hasn't he played actual gangsters and murderers and stuff?
Bingo.
Yes. And he legitimately thinks that Trump is worse. That is an amazing observation to show how far the TDS has gone. The man hasn't been president for 4 years, and it's still, and he's gonna say other stuff too, but like, come on, like it's insane. Yeah, this is rich coming from a man who has the F Trump. At the Tourette's award show, of course. Or not the Tourette's award show. He had Tourette's at the award show. And he's going to come off the end of a bad lawsuit involving a former assistant who accused him of being nasty and mistreated. Surprise, surprise. Shout out to M169. Welcome to the party. Yep. Starting out with narcissist. I mean, he's an actor. What do you expect?
hateful person. I never play him as an actor because I can't see any good in him. Nothing. Nothing.
That's because you're not looking. If you're purposely trying to demonize somebody in your mind, it's not that hard to pretend that they are a demon.
Nothing at all. Nothing redeemable in him. If he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore. He'll come looking for me.
He's gonna come looking for bro. He don't care about you like that. And you're Robert De Niro.
They
laughed at him.
Things that happen that none of us could imagine.
I mean, okay, let's start with Destiny. I gotta say, when I saw that, I just thought, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Isn't this liberals falling into the old trap of over-demonizing Trump to the extent that actually it just helps him?
Hey, shout out from Scotland, a new country on the board. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Big shout out to Scotland. So yes, more demonizing Trump.
Old trap of over-demonizing Trump to the extent that actually it just helps him.
I think that there is an issue when it comes to covering Trump because it feels like there is an over-demonization of Trump, but also Trump is kind of a demon.
Are you serious?
Like, I think...
Bruh. Do I need... Bruh. So you admit you are the problem.
there is an over-demonization of Trump, but also Trump is kind of a demon. Like, I think that it's funny because people will look at the left and they'll say that, you know, people are harping too much on Trump's rhetoric or how mean he is towards people on Twitter. But then when you talk to conservatives, it seems like Trump's Twitter behavior is their #1 selling point for why they like him so much. Like, yeah, I don't know what he does for policy. I don't know what he does for legislation, but you know, he's got a lot of really good zingers. Like, this is a guy who's known for giving mean nicknames to his debate stage opponents.
Okay, and so this, again, is a fundamental misunderstanding of what people like about Trump. Yes, we like Trump because of that stuff, but not because, oh, it's funny that he says mean words. No, it's that these people deserve criticism. These people deserve criticism, and everyone in the political class, the elite class, whatever, just continue is either part of it or pretends that it doesn't happen, it doesn't exist. So yes, the fact that he's willing to speak out and say what we all want to say is a big deal. But oh, he's just he's just saying it. That's why they like him, because he's saying things.
Like, this is a guy who's known for giving mean nicknames to his debate stage opponents. I don't think it's that crazy to say that Trump has some of the most divisive rhetoric and is one of the meanest people that we've seen as like a world leader on the world stage, at least insofar as like rhetoric and how he addresses people goes.
Is he so mean that he would, you know, political or extrajudiciously go after his political opponent? That was not great. I'll take the L on that one. But you know what I mean? It's like this idea of mean. He's mean. This is why all the time we talk about the content or the lens through which we look at our politicians. You know, remember he he was saying to Ben Shapiro on Lex Friedman. He was like, oh, so you get to grade Trump on a curve, but not anybody else? Ben's like, no, I grade every president on a curve. Meaning I'm not going to look at you and judge you the same way that I judge somebody that I want to be friends with, or judge somebody that I want teaching my children, or judge somebody that I want watching my boy Morty here.
Those two are very different things.
I wouldn't trust Trump for a lot of that. That doesn't mean that he is not the best leader for the country. Dylan said, good old Destiny being the token lefty. Well, that's what I like about this segment is that, you know, I mean, Piers is kind of, he's anti-woke-ish, but he's definitely more on the establishment left. Then you have Destiny, who's the progressive leftist. You have Benny Johnson, who's, you know, more of the new right conservative. And then you have Dave Smith, who's not really part of this left-right thing. He's, you know, the libertarian guy. And so he's kind of taking things from a different perspective. Obviously, he leans right in the culture war. But he's not, you know, on the left or on the right. And the film says, Destiny may be right. Demons famously want to end war and build the economy. How horrible, right? How horrible. Well, like I said, there's something about Destiny using the word demon that really bothers me. Atheists using the word demon to describe somebody they don't like. What you think, Leitch? Bad take? I mean, I don't personally, the fact that like the atheism thing means that demon to an atheist doesn't mean something so like it's just another word. Like, demons don't exist. So like bad person and demon means the same thing. So I can definitely see where you're coming from. I definitely see where you're coming from, but personally, I don't. It's not a thing, but I definitely see where you're coming from, for sure. Amongst the United States, people forget that Trump did pursue criminal charges against Hillary, and he didn't pursue criminal charges, and he could have. Yep, he could have, but he didn't because he's a demon. A demon. All right, let's dive back in here.
I don't think it's that crazy to say that Trump has some of the most divisive rhetoric and is one of the meanest people that we've seen as like a world leader on the world stage, at least insofar as like rhetoric and how he addresses people goes.
I think Destiny's going to be the enemy here more than Piers, but fair enough.
Yeah, but I always say, you see, about this, that there's a lot of hypocrisy about this based around Trump's rhetoric compared to his actions. For example, with Barack Obama, who obviously didn't tweet incendiary things about people, and was the epitome of kind of civilized presidential public office behavior. But
yeah, so Bandana was saying many use demon like Alex Jones. He uses instead of using words to get him a lawsuit. I don't think that this is the same connotation. I think that when Destiny hears there's an over demonization of Trump, what he hears is we talk bad about Trump too much. And so when he says we over demonize Trump, but he is a demon, what he's trying to say, and this is me steel manning him, this is what he actually meant to say. If he wanted to get his message out properly, he would have said, yes, there is a problem with over demonizing Trump, but that doesn't mean that he's not a bad guy. That's what he was trying to say. That's what he was trying to say. But the people, as we, you and Guamtech were pointing out, that's a heavy word that has connotations to it. And it's not going to win you any favors.
Kind of civilized presidential public office behavior. But he still deported over 3 million people. He still ran a terrible drone program. He still dropped more bombs in 1 year than any president in modern history. He kept Guantanamo Bay open despite campaigning to shut it, etc.
Yep.
He's the angel, Trump's the devil, and I don't think either's particularly accurate.
Mm-hmm. And he just fed into that.
I don't think I would say that Obama is an angel, but I mean, there's a separate discussion between besides the character of a person and the actual policy positions or things they did in office. I think Trump would lose on both counts, but I mean, separate from policy or, effectuality or ineffectuality as a leader, I think that it's pretty undeniable that Trump is kind of a mean-spirited guy.
Yeah, nobody's disagreeing with that. This is how we started Destiny. We started saying that there is an over demonization of it. So that doesn't mean that nobody can say anything and nobody can criticize him. The fact is that they're doing it too much. And so we're already aware that he doesn't say nice things. And so you coming on and using your time to say, well, he's not a nice guy, shows the obsession with having a nice guy, as if Biden is a nice guy. Biden is not a nice guy, not by any stretch of the imagination.
And then when you look at how he runs his campaign, when you look at how he runs the country, he's a very self-driven person. Like every single thing that he does is just ultimately to serve his needs or his ends at the end of the day. Whether that means throwing political opponents under the bus, whether that means throwing political allies under the bus, whether that means not helping, Georgia's Senate elections because he's so angry that Raffensperger, wouldn't turn over enough votes for him, and now Georgia has 2 blue senators. Like, I don't know. Trump is a really mean dude. And again, yeah, you can switch over and you can look at the foreign policy.
Well, Corn Pop was a bad dude,
Come on, man.
Position too. But I mean, you can talk about Obama's follies, but Trump also abandoned our Kurdish allies in Syria to Turkey. Trump also, inflamed tensions in the Middle East when he recognized, the Jerusalem, moving the embassy over to Jerusalem, and the United States is recognition.
And then wanted to end the Iraq war, right?
Of Israel annexing East Jerusalem and everything. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think Trump wins on any count where he would come off as a nice guy.
Okay, I mean, Benny Johnson, does it matter whether Trump's a nice guy or not? I think people have baked in now what he is. He's a shoot from the hip, guy that loves to talk. He's pretty narcissistic. Okay, he's pretty bombastic. He's pretty pugilistic. If you read his book, The Art of the Deal, he says, if somebody punches me, metaphorically or real, I'll punch them 10 times back. There's nothing new about any of Trump's behavior. If you have studied his behavior for the last 40, 50 years, he just happens to be a guy who won the White House and right now is actually looking like he's favorite to win it back. So for all the rhetorical issues around Trump and the supposed meanness, there are tens of millions of Americans who are queuing up to vote for him.
Right, exactly. And as any film is saying, Yes, Trump was very selfish because he wanted to be the best president. So then everybody would say, hey, Trump is the best president. I completely believe that. I think that he is an egomaniac that doesn't care about anybody. But also, as you say this, this reminds me of our last stream, our conversation. Shout out to Pitt's take. Then he was, you know, when we think about self and tribe, then yes, you have to be a little selfish in order to do what's right in the face of an establishment that has no desire to make that happen. So it's just a non-starter. It's just a non-starter. Yeah, Grandpa Metamucil is really working out. Wonderful said, electing someone because they're a nice guy or not. Damn, Destiny really makes it easy to laugh at him. Unfortunately, because again, you guys know how big of a fan of Destiny I am. If there's any one person who is that I watch, how do you say that? The person whose content I watch the most time of is probably Destiny, just because, you know, he streams a bajillion hours a day, and then on his YouTube channel he'll clip out things that are an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I like to get in these long form conversations. I like when he's talking about, you know, managing his community, stuff like that. That's relevant to me, so I watch a lot of his content. I'm a big fan of him,
Huge fan.
but it's just like the blind spots that he has are undeniable. It's a deal breaker.
For all the rhetorical issues around Trump and the supposed meanness, there are tens of millions of Americans who are queuing up to vote for him.
Yeah, so let's talk about tens of millions. I particularly take quite a bit of umbrage with the description of Donald Trump as demonic. I think that
You're not alone, Guamtech. You are not alone.
is quite shocking as a Christian myself to call somebody demonic like Donald Trump, who's actually against the 10 million people who have been human smuggled into this country, many of them children. I remember a time not too long ago when people the left cared about children in cages.
Oh yeah, the kids in cages, they're being separated from their parents. Are you sure they're the parents? No, but I mean, well, we should, I don't know. Having, complaining about things you have no idea about just for the sake of complaining because you can complain. Well, like I said, Destiny isn't all bad, but his TDS and jab takes are about the worst it gets. He really doesn't do himself any favors when talking on those issues. Yeah, I agree. I think his, you know, more specifically, I mean, just the TDS, I think colors his January 6th position so much that he's just unable to see it. And he's working backwards from the fact that, well, Trump is bad. And he is, we all agree that he's an egomaniac that wanted to win and that wasn't accepting at face value that he lost. Nobody's denying that. But Destiny takes that and thinks, oh, well, the fact that there was rioting must mean that this man did the worst possible thing. And it's just like, bro, it don't work like that, no matter how badly you want to. And it's frustrating because there are people in his orbit who have tried to argue this with him at length. But because he's rhetorically so good and he can use the debate tactics that you know are, again, something that I respect about him, he's allowed to, or not allowed, but he's able to sidestep accountability where he's wrong by just kind of being like, well, okay, you might think that, but I think this, that, and go off onto something else. And I mean, I wish somebody could sit him down and point out that it's more of the perspective that you have, because you're coming from this perspective. You're looking at all this stuff wrong. There was a video from genetically modified skeptic about trans stuff. He's an atheist YouTuber that I very, very much respect. We've covered him before. And he covered some trans stuff and just did a terrible, terrible job. And I think that's got to be Wednesday's show because I was screaming at my TV. Anyway, moving on. M169 10. Trump has narcissistic tendencies, but so do most actors in Hollywood. So do most politicians in Washington. It's not always a terrible thing. Left unchecked, it can be. Yeah, I agree. This line of discussion that this is a inherently disqualifying thing is stupid. Yep, that was Obama. That was Obama.
People who have been human smuggled into this country.
It's about to go down.
Many of them children. I remember a time not too long ago when people cared about, the left cared about children in cages. Yet now they're calling Donald Trump demonic. He wants to stop these human smuggling by the cartels. Have you ever been down to the border, Destiny? Have you seen the
Nope.
rape trees? Have you seen the little children's toys that are left down there from the human smuggling that is created by Joe Biden, the biggest human smuggler in human history?
And something funny about that?
Is this a joke?
What is funny about that? I was just pausing to say, like, it's undeniable that he's the biggest human smuggler in human history. What are you smiling about?
Is created by Joe Biden, the biggest human smuggler in human history. Do you know the carnage and the horror that is being created by those policies?
The only thing I can think is that, all right, Benny, like, chill out. It's very clear that Benny's trying to get clips for TikTok and whatever. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I can imagine that Destiny's laughing at.
Let's not even talk about how what Joe Biden has done to the world stage. Donald Trump brought world peace. You're going to talk about Kurds and wars? How about Ukraine? Joe Biden could have stopped
The facial expressions alone. No new war. Whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to say. You cannot argue against no new wars. And look at the again. It just rings in my head about how Candace Owens was saying that, you know, he's 35 but he acts like a college student, and I was just like, I didn't really see that. But leftism really is a child's mentality.
Grow up.
One thing that was really annoying about Destiny's take here is that he brings up Trump's Twitter takes as why he thinks he's so horrible. Like, bro, he hasn't been on Twitter for how long now? Well, he's been truthing, so, you know, same thing. Like, it's not relevant. You would think, like, think about all the people who got canceled. Think of all the people who were banned. Now, some people, like Alex Jones, were able to stay relevant. But think about somebody like Milo Yiannopoulos that were canceled. And I mean, I don't care to litigate whether that was, you know, good, right, wrong, or the other way. My point is that his life just fell off after that. The fact that Alex Jones was able to stay relevant, the fact that Donald Trump was able to stay relevant should tell you something. But just right over his head. No consideration. Momtek said there's barely been anything I've heard Trump say that we considered mean except about Biden. Except bloodbath.
that peace. You're going to talk about Kurds and wars? How about Ukraine? Joe Biden could have stopped that war before it even started.
Yep.
Joe Biden continues that.
Well, he was never going to stop that war. He was hoping for that war since he was vice president.
War and continues the funding of that war that is leading to the wholesale slaughter of an entire region. Joe Biden could stop it right now. Joe Biden has brought war around the world.
Yep.
And then let's talk about the fentanyl poisoning America. You want to talk about cruelty? It took Joe Biden 400 days to go to East Palestine.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. I don't understand how there is somebody, or there's rather not somebody on the in the cabinet, on the press team, something that's saying, okay, you know, this is the biggest thing that's happened, at least in the media, in a long time, and it wasn't, you know, some terrorist thing. It was just, you know, it's not political. It's not political. Just go down and get your points. You can clean up, not, you know, physically clean up, but I mean, you can clean up just by getting all this positive press. Imagine if he went down on day 1, day 2, day 3 and made a rousing speech. Rousing. Think about how strong that would have been for Biden supporters to be able to tout out as reasons, well, okay, maybe he's not horribly terrible. Instead, you wait apparently 400 days and you have nothing to say against it.
It took Joe Biden 400 days to go to East Palestine in Ohio, a city that was poisoned by our federal government in a chemical explosion, much less the chemical explosion that is happening all throughout America with fentanyl, slaughtering 100,000 Americans.
I like what he did there. I like what he did there. The chemical explosion of fentanyl slaughtering 100,000 Americans. And you want, again, if you think about the left-wing platform, is that we want to look at drugs in a progressive manner. That, of course, we don't just want people doing drugs, but we understand that people are going to do drugs, and that nonviolent drug offenders are people who want to, or rather don't want to hurt anybody. They just want to do what they want to do. And that, the legislation around that, so on and so forth, that they want to help these people. Yet they're doing everything to make it worse.
Explosion that is happening all throughout America with fentanyl slaughtering 100,000 Americans. And the final thing I'll say here, how dare you call Donald Trump demonic when Joe Biden hasn't even said Laken Riley's name correctly, called her Lincoln Riley when he was forced to. This woman was slaughtered by a criminal alien who was in this country illegally, who was released by Democrats and went on to slaughter a nursing student in Georgia with his bare hands.
This is, again, the Laken Riley thing. I don't understand how you don't just, it's a better move to say, yes, that we messed up there.
I kind of dropped the ball on that one.
If you're a voting liberal, you're better off saying, yeah, that take the L there. To try to spin that into something where nothing's wrong. First, he said her name wrong. Okay, it's Biden. Like, come on, man. He's gonna say things wrong. Not that that makes it okay, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing ever. But then when he apologizes for calling the person an illegal, and doesn't apologize for using the wrong name, it's the epitome of the problem. It's not, honestly, I don't think it is a big deal that, if you misspoke on the name. I don't think that's a big deal. I think it's disrespectful, of course, but I don't think that's any huge thing. If he would have apologized and whatever, it's not like he fucking cares about every one of us. He doesn't fucking know who Laken Riley is. But when you turn around and say, well, I shouldn't have said illegal. Fucking pardon? You shouldn't have said Lincoln. And they just don't get it. There's no understanding of why people might be upset about that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.